This podcast was created by fans for fans and is not affiliated with or sponsored by Hallmark or the Hallmark channel. Okay, Sydney, we're here to talk Mystery Island. We've been waiting. Are you going to be buying your plane ticket and making a reservation at Mystery Island?
I don't know, Eric. It seems a little too deadly for me.
This is Eric.
And this is Sydney.
And this is Hallmark Mysteries
And more.
Well, hello, Sydney. How are you?
I'm great, Eric. How are you? How are you enjoying this fall season?
Fall season has been going fine for me. My Detroit Lions are playing well, but I'm just ecstatic. This is the first time in a month and a half when I asked you how you are, and you've had an enthusiastic great. So
I I actually have eaten all my meals for the last couple days. So
wow. Well, I'm very, very glad for you. So
thank
awesome.
you. I appreciate that. I was wondering, what, since it's fall, is there like a song that you just listen to during fall that like really puts you in the fall mood?
No, but I will say this morning on our walk, I did try singing a little Jewel to my
Oh,
wife, and
oh no.
so she had braces when she was younger, and she has not been good in wearing her retainer. So she has one tooth that's like a little bit out of alignment that I personally never noticed, but she's going to go talk to North Donis and consider Invisalign. And I said, "Oh, there's nothing wrong with your tooth. You got like a little snaggle tooth like Jewel." And
No, no.
she's thinking like Jewel, like bejeweled or some sort of jewel. And then I got into the thing, so I started singing, "You Were Meant for Me," and she's like, "Yeah, Jewel just has not uh survived the times. It hasn't, aged well." And I was like, "Sydney will take you down." So
Well, I think she has like actually aged well, like physically. I
oh
don't
yes,
know.
fantastic. Well, I think, and then I argued back. I was like, "No, her music's still fantastic." So my wife
Yeah.
and I have very different music tastes. So,
Well, that's
but
okay.
I'll just say, so I don't really have a fall tune. What about you?
Well, I like have a fall playlist, of course, because I'm crazy like that. But like one of the like twangy songs that I really like, it's not necessarily like super fall, but it's called um Restless, and it's by Alison Cross and Union Station. And there's just something twangy about it. And I was listening to it at work today, and I was like, oh, I can see a pumpkin patch. I don't know. Fall
Maybe.
nights.
Well, I was going to say that could have been like due to not eating meals that you're hallucinating seeing pumpkin patches, but you've been eating, so
Maybe I'm
you're
like
just in the fall
hallucinating in the
spirit.
good way. Yeah.
Yeah, you just got the fall spirit going.
Oh my gosh.
All right. Well, we waited months and months and months, and we
Yeah.
finally got to see it, and now it's time to discuss Mystery Island.
Dun dun dun.
So I'll do a brief description of Mystery Island, where Dr. Amelia Priestley, in need of some relaxing vacation, wait, vacations, I don't know why it went plural, but Dr. Amelia Priestley, in need of some relaxing vacation, goes to Mystery Island, an immersive murder mystery themed resort. As the games begin, tragedy strikes, and the resort's reclusive founder is murdered. You know what would be really nice with this murder mystery? A
Ooh,
refreshing
what?
cocktail.
Well, yes, and you're on an island, so of course you want a little something something to sip on. So, I have got a signature cocktail for you, and it is Phoenix's Daiquiri. Phoenix, the fitness guru we love to hate. She is a sour girl, and this is a sour cocktail.
He
um,
is pretty
so
sour.
Yeah. I would also argue a little salty. So there's no salt in this, but I don't know. You're gonna add some rum with some fresh lime juice and a little bit of simple syrup and a lime wedge for garnish. And you'll serve it in like a coupe glass. But I found it kind of interesting because when I was watching this movie and she said, I'm gonna go top off my daiquiri. And I thought, that's a daiquiri because it was in like a martini glass. And when I think daiquiri, I think of like a strawberry
Right.
smoothie looking thing. But it turns out, no, a daiquiri at its basic level kind of looks like a really plain margarita on the rocks,
I
no
say,
ice. But yeah, it's like a lime
yeah.
rum concoction in a martini glass or a coupe glass. So that's
You know what?
Phoenix's daiquiri.
I've got these glasses that, or I guess they're glasses, but they look like tiki things. They're rum islandy drinks. And
Yeah.
I think I'd pour mine in that one because it's a very island drink glass
Yes. Yes. I think
with a little
so.
I think we have to have a little umbrella in it too.
Oh, yeah. I mean, she was not about that because she didn't have time for an umbrella.
She was a little frou-frou.
Yeah. But in the bad way.
I don't know. She was fun. So, all right.
She
Well,
was not fun.
are we going to brawl today?
She
Um,
was
all right. Well,
rude.
let's get into it. What was there that you liked about Mystery Island?
Okay. So let me start off by saying, like, I think, how last week, like, we didn't expect to like that movie. And then we really actually enjoyed that movie. So this week, I expect to like this movie. And I did like this movie. But I guess I felt a little underwhelmed only because, yes, last week I had such a different response. And so this week it was just not as like, wow.
So you set up too high of expectations.
I think I just expected what I got and I was like, okay, yeah. And because last week I expected not a lot, you know. But I mean the acting was great, the writing was great, the setting was beautiful. I loved the bamboo clue board with the fancy gift basket. That was nice. I enjoyed a secret passageway. Like, who doesn't love a secret
I
passageway?
know. I need one in my house.
Yeah. And it was kind of funny how I found it kind of funny how when they both found the dead body, they were like laughing like schoolgirls. They're
Totally.
like, ah, and then of course, not so funny. But yes, that was hilarious. And I also really enjoyed, and JCP is very good at this, that Detective Trent appreciated Amelia's help on the case right away. That was great.
Yes, we
I
talked
didn't have
about that.
any of what are you doing? I have a partner. I don't need you. Like,
Well, we did talk about that with him where he said he's, totally over the, the inferior woman or the silly woman, and he likes, portraying
yes,
strong women. But I will say, Amelia does come with a lot more credentials than the normal sleuth. She is a
true.
crime murder interrogating psychologist. So
Yes,
he would be foolish not to take her help. But many
true. But
detectives are
yeah,
foolish.
yeah, many
So,
men.
yes, yes, it's I believe we could say mansplaining could take place, but he did not do
Oh
that.
my gosh. Thank goodness. So,
So
what about you, Eric?
I liked a lot of this movie. I really did. Watched it twice, and the second time I even liked it more. So the first thing off the bat is it was, I think, a nice complex mystery, or I should say a complex story that had the mystery involved there. with a lot of Agatha Christie notes to it. It was
Yes.
just, what I had to do. And last week I talked to John, and he told me to watch And Then There Were None, because he said, well, he didn't tell me to watch, but he said, oh, there's a lot of inspiration for that. So I'm like, well, I gotta watch it now. So
Yeah.
I binged it on Acorn, 3 episodes, and there really was a lot of And Then There Were None inspiration in this. And there was the gong, which a little nod there. The unexpected killer, And Then There Were None, there's the general, whereas now we had the Sarge, or just Sarge. There's the invite of all these eclectic, wide range of
Yes.
guests who come together with this riddle that's they've got to figure out. And then of course in the original, or in, I shouldn't say the original, but in And Then There Were None, there's a whole thing where it plays not necessarily a mystery, but it accuses all the guests on a record. And then here they use an old school record, little 45,
Yeah.
to play the riddle there. And so I think that, whether that was completely a nod to it or not, I really do think it was. But then, even the matriarch, Evelyn Murdoch, like that has
Oh,
to be, you know,
Agatha
Agatha
Christie.
Christie. And then I talked to John after it aired, and he's like, no one's like catching that. I'm like, I thought it was so obvious that it didn't need to be, mentioned,
Yeah.
that that's Agatha Christie and all that. So I really like the Agatha Christie mysteries, and so I really enjoyed it. And plus, like I said, this just had a complex story. A lot of, like, every single character in there was a viable suspect and had their own
Hmm.
things that they were bringing to it. So that was great. And they're all just very interesting characters. Even Phoenix, who you love to hate, I found her. Yes, she was not likable, but I found that character enjoyable because you kind of need that, you know,
Sure.
antagonist you don't like. So I liked her character. Now, I didn't like particularly like her, but I liked the
Yeah.
character. And I thought it was I thought it was just really well written for all the different characters. The other thing, and I noticed this more the second go around, but the music, it had like a big feel to it, the score. And there are certain parts where I was just getting this Jurassic Park vibe from it, where it just
Ah.
got like real, big. And then just throughout. So I looked up the guy. I've never looked up the composers before, but this guy, Christopher Guglick, say that like 5 times fast, but he's done a zillion Hallmark movies, including To Catch a Spy. But,
Oh,
all the rom-coms, bunch of them. He's probably done 25 at least. So kudos to
nice.
Christopher Gogluck. I'm probably,
Kudos.
it's a tough name, and I'm probably slaughtering it. So I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But I also, one of the things I really enjoyed too was the relationship between Amelia and Jane. I found them so fun.
Yes.
Kind of like we like Goldie and Marla together. I thought when they were
Hmm.
together, Amelia was very reserved, but when she was with Jane, she was, like you said, laughing the whole time when they stumble upon the body. I had that in my notes as well, where they're just cracking up like, ooh, not one dead, but we get 2 dead bodies,
Yeah.
and just laughing all about it until it's like, oh, wait, he really is dead. So really enjoyed their relationship. And then the last thing, I think obviously the location, the resort, the island, the wardrobe. We'll get to that, when we talk style,
I know
but
you're getting to everything. Like you're supposed to say
all
some
that
of this
stuff,
mystery stuff for the mystery
all
part,
that
Eric.
stuff was just really good. So, well, I have more notes to that. So there was a lot that I really liked. And yes, and I will say, when I first watched it, it I don't want to say I was underwhelmed as well, but I had that really high expectation,
Hmm.
and I was like, okay, it was good. It was really
And
good.
it meets it. Yeah.
And I was happy, but I was not like, and this maybe is what you're saying, I was not just blown away, like, oh my gosh. But the second time I watched it, and maybe I was just watching it a little more chill that time,
Mhm.
I enjoyed it even more. And I was like, oh, I really like this. I really like this.
Yeah.
So pretty good.
Well,
So a
good.
lot, like I say, I had a pretty long list there. Surprisingly, I
Yeah.
have quite a few things that I thought could have been better. What about you?
I think you're gonna just laugh at the stuff. So of course, like Phoenix was just very hard for me to stomach. Like she was just so rude. And then like the whole, I don't know if I should give it away, but like the scene where she's in the other room and she's talking to the other guy and Amelia overhears her.
Oh yeah.
And I'm just like, I just hate her so much. And so, but she actually, well, I won't say much more, but I could have, I just didn't like her. And that's the nature of the character. Like you said, like it's necessary and I get it. But that was just a not enjoyable part for me.
Yeah,
And
100%
then
agree.
another part that was really not enjoyable for me was when they found Morgan's fingernail by the riverbed. I have a thing about fingernails. Okay.
So
Like I
do
can't,
you not get manis and petties?
I do, but I don't get any fake stuff put
Okay.
on my nails. And like they remind me of when my nieces used to have those press on ones. And one of my nieces used to take one of her press on nails and like eat Nutella with it out of the jar and leave these dirty nails
Okay,
everywhere.
that definitely could scar you for life.
Yes. So when they found Morgan's nail, I was like, oh no, no, put that down. Don't show me this nail. This is a clue I didn't want.
Don't pull out the jar of peanut butter and have your little snack.
The Nutella. Yeah, no. So that for me was just too much. And other than that, I didn't have any real complaints. Yeah, that was it for me. To
I was
really
I was
thought
creeped
that,
out by the fingernail.
yes, pretty
Okay.
much. What about you, Eric?
Okay, so I talked about the Agatha Christie, and if you watch, as I said, I just watched the And Then There Were None. There's also a great mystery that's over on BurtBox. Why Didn't They Ask Evans? Both of these are three-part series, so it's not like a trilogy, but it just takes 3 episodes to tell the story, so it's extended. I think this could have been better if it was in that kind of environment, because it was, like I said, a complex story. These characters, there was so much to them that I think there were, it was getting it crammed in that hour and 24 minutes. I think if we could have let them breathe more, and it would have just been that much better. And as you and I were saying, like having that over the top, I think that could have taken it there. So I think that was the whole thing, that just we had to get it in that 124, and it just, there's so much story to tell that it was confined, and I wish it could have had more room. So it's not
Mhm.
really bad, it's what it is, but so that's it. Then along the same lines is, so I watched it with commercials and fast forwarded through them because I recorded it and then I watched it. And it just, to me, it's kind of messed with the rhythm of it. I wish I recorded it on Peacock, and I was going to watch it there because I can watch it without commercials for my second viewing. And I thought that would be, I wanted to see how that would be. I did not realize Peacock movies are only available for 72 hours and then they go away. So
Mhm.
I waited too long and I went to go watch it again and it was gone. So I didn't get to
Uh,
see it without. So both times I had to fast forward through the 4 minutes of commercial. So even though you're fast
yeah.
forwarding, it still takes that break. So it just, to me, the commercials mess with the rhythm of the story, because that
Okay.
story was so, it just needed to flow. And I would have loved it without commercials. Once again, nothing against, really, neither of these are against the movie per se. It's just like, wanting it more and in its more natural element. So,
I
you
think
know,
we've gotten used to watching stuff on BritBox and
yeah.
all that with us no commercials.
But I think just this one, like normally, the mysteries, they're in that 9 act and it sort of cuts off and then it brings you to another one. So it doesn't really bother me that much. But for this one, I just wanted that momentum to keep going.
Mm-hmm.
But, me. So now, as far as the actual movie, the jury's still out for me on Charlie Weber. Um, I think I liked him, but I'm not sure I liked him.
I can see why.
So his acting, I, I, I don't know. Um, I, I need to see him again in it to see if he takes it deeper and more, because there are certain things I really liked, certain other ones I thought kind of fell a little bit flat, but so it goes. And then another
I
one,
I didn't think I wasn't super like into him like I would be with, Christopher and all that. It's
throw Victor in there.
yeah, I just feel like there was something missing. Like I kept thinking maybe he should have an English accent too, or I don't know. It just he didn't grab me like she did. There wasn't as much interest there.
But then the other thing for me was I was a little bit confused about Detective Jason was treating the chief kind of like Detective Tom
Yeah.
treats Mason. Here, bag this, go get this sampled. And he seemed to be treating her as his assistant or his
Uh-huh.
protege versus his boss. So I
I
was a
did
little bit
notice
weird,
that
like,
too.
what's going on here?
I thought that was strange too, but then I remembered she said so, at the beginning because someone was out of town or
Right.
something. She was like, "So I'm your partner for
Yeah.
the."
And
So
I,
I
it's
don't
funny you
know.
say that, because the second viewing, like the first one, I'm like, what the hell's going on here? And the second viewing, I kind of went to that and was thinking, she isn't really the detective. She's come up a different way. So she's not used to being out in the field doing that kind of field work like he is. And so she was just, because of the guy who broke his, didn't he broke his, sprained his foot in like a, I forget what it was, like a jet ski
Just
accident or something like that.
yeah.
But so I was thinking maybe she was, not really used to doing all that. So she really was kind of assisting, even though she was his superior.
Yeah.
Um, and then another thing, and I'm going to throw this out there, and it didn't really bother me, but when I went through and I was looking on Reddit and I was looking on Facebook and Twitter, so many people were complaining about the accents. And to me, and maybe it's once again, I watch all this BritBox and Acorn and just appreciate diversity and realize that, hey, there's people in this world who don't come from the United States and Canada. But it
Mm-hmm.
didn't bother me at all. But it bothered a lot of people that these people had accents. And I don't know which accent it was, whether it was the Chief's accent, because she was clearly like had that Panamanian thing going, or
Yeah.
if it was people just couldn't understand British people. And no one had that thick of a British accent, I didn't think either. So I don't know
Hmm.
what it was. Didn't bother me, but a lot of people it did seem to
Hmm.
bother. So it
That's
didn't bother me,
strange.
but I'll just throw it out there. They had accents. I liked it. I thought it added to it. I thought it made it a more fun mystery.
Yeah.
So,
Agreed.
all right, let's moving on. Quality of the mystery.
Yeah, so I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the forensic montage. We haven't really seen that before, where they're like swapping your mouth and taking your fingerprints and all that fun stuff. I had here that I enjoyed how the mystery matriarch was definitely giving Agatha Christie, which we discussed. And also, so I knew what happened halfway through because there were just several clues, and I never expect to really know because I didn't know the week prior, but there were several clues where I was just like, okay, this is the only thing that makes sense. Um, but I still really enjoyed it. And the story was, like you said, the side characters were each really interesting. And I think that's really hard to make that many side characters matter. Like most of the time, if you have that many actors, it's kind of like confusing, or people are just falling flat for you. There's just, it's not working. But it worked. And I thought that was in itself a pretty big feat.
100% agree. Usually, and we've talked about this before, I'm trying to remember which mystery it was, but we talked about how the first tier acting was fantastic. The second tier was pretty darn good, but then when it got to the third, they just, they could tell they had local actors and just weren't very good. And
Yeah.
so I think, and I'll say this is a credit to John writing a really interesting script that, exactly like you said, all the characters were interesting.
Yeah.
So, and that's, like you said, it's not an easy feat to do because it's a lot of people. And as I was just saying, that you have an hour and 24 minutes. And so it's crammed, it's congested, and to still be able to do that, that's a huge feat. And the mystery, as far as the quality, I thought it was really good because it was completely unexpected. Even though you figured it out, I figured it out too. But I'll say, John inadvertently gave me a clue where when he talked about the "and then there were none," I was like, okay, this has to be not the expected. There's got to be a big twist. And I'll be honest, and I told him this, I was totally expecting it to be some like monkey
Oh
that
God.
came from the jungle and somehow did it. I was thinking like all these completely out of the box things. And
Yes,
so
you were.
then I finally came to it. The only plausible thing is the completely unexpected of what it turned out to be.
Yeah.
So yeah. So I thought, like I said, I thought the quality of the mystery, just the quality of the actual mystery, was maybe the best mystery this year.
Yeah. True.
So all
True.
right. Now we get to talk about your favorite subject, the style.
Oh, well, I will say, the detective looked, that's one thing I did like. Charlie Weber looked nice in a tuxedo. I will say that. They just happened to have one lying around that he could wear,
But my
and it fit him
question
really
was,
well.
okay, to that, and I guess maybe this should have been in the thing, maybe I didn't like, that they come to him and say, "Hell, we have to dress formal for dinner. You don't have a tuxedo." He's in a suit, so he's already the best dressed person there. But they're like, "Okay, you got to go formal." But then nobody else, the women change, but none of the guys are out. Other guys are in tuxes.
Yeah, I guess I didn't pay attention to that.
And then they don't even go to the dinner. They're like, "Oh, let's just go walk on the beach and be
I know
romantic."
that was kind of goofy, but so, and with Amelia, I feel like she looked great 99% of the time, except for the dress she wore the first night. I just
The
did
green
not
dress.
like it. Yeah, it didn't fit her super well in the bust area, and I felt like the draping was just off. Like it just looked
Hmm.
like it was someone else's dress that she borrowed, and it was kind of ill-fitting in the bust area. And so they could have just brought it up a bit, in a bit would have been better, except I just don't think that draping did anything for her. Like the other night when she's walking on the beach in like the coral dress, now that looked nice. And her friend Jane always looked flawless. I mean,
Well, she's a
Lady
baroness.
Jane, yes. So that makes sense. But like she always had really well tailored outfits that had really great accents to them, like pleating and just little cutouts here and there, great patterns. But I was just kind of underwhelmed by that first night look for Amelia. But the rest of the time, she looked really cute. And, that fancy mansion, of course, was really great. I loved that. And I loved that the whole vibe was kind of like Costa Rican esque. I was there for it. What about you?
100% agree with everything you said. As I said at the top of this, one of the things I thought was fantastic about the movie was all the style in it, whether it be the physical, style of the resort or their fashion. I didn't have a problem with her green dress. I thought she looked fantastic throughout. The question I do have for you, which some people made a comment about, and I thought actually made sense. Did you have
Mm-hmm.
a problem with her running through the jungle in the, what do you call those? What do you call those shoes?
Espadrilles.
Espadrilles.
I will say, I feel like I noticed that she was kind of having a hard time sneaking away from that door in those espadrilles going down the stairs. And I thought, oh gosh, she steps, because they were quite high. They weren't like, your Clark's espadrilles or something. They were like high fashion. And I thought if she takes one wrong step, she could just fall right down those stairs. I did kind of cringe a little while she was trying to run in them, because I just thought that is a sport. That's pretty neat. But it
But you
didn't
didn't,
bother me
you,
because they were
okay.
really cute.
Because I saw someone posted, oh, as soon as I saw her running in the jungle in the shoes, I was done. I'm like, it wasn't like she was planning this. She saw the guy sneak off and was chasing after him. So she wouldn't have like, oh, hang on, I'm going to run back to my room and change into some comfortable flats.
If anything, honey, you should not be done. You should be clapping, because running in espadrilles in the middle of a forest cannot be simple.
And I thought that outfit was just the cute sporty look, those white pants and the
Oh,
like the
yes, with the
capris
denim pluff
with the thing.
blouse.
Yeah, I thought she looked just cute throughout the whole movie, but I agreed. Jane, she was next level good in this movie.
And it made
Um,
sense because she was,
yep.
like you said, a baroness.
And Fredericks, I liked, the patch. Can never
You'll never get over
I can
Fredericks.
I can never downplay the patch and his whole just very stiff, because he's the butler, so he's supposed to be that way. But I
Yeah.
just found his character with his whole look, he just was the perfect butler. So, and then as we said, the of course the place was just beautiful, but it also just was a very sleuthy type set too, with the hidden hallway and all of that. So really liked. I
Yeah.
liked.
Well, Eric, how many bodies did we have?
We didn't have one, but we had two.
Dun dun dun.
I know. So is that like your sweet spot? Of course, we get our initial one, but then you get another one just to make it a little more exciting. But we don't go three where it starts turning into,
Yeah. Well, I have to
mayhem.
say, like, if you watch enough of those Poirot or those Miss Marple, it kind of like I enjoy like the more of the mysteries that have the like two bodies. I think it kind of adds, because it also adds to you questioning who really is the culprit,
Right.
because you're like, well, wait a minute, I thought it could be this way, but now there's another dead person, so that
And the
doesn't make
person who I
sense
was
now.
thinking is now dead.
Yeah, so I enjoy it. What about you? Are you?
Well, I'll say, and then there were none, as the name implies. Everyone died, so 10. You had 10 in that one. So John decided not to go all out on Mystery Island with that. I don't think Hallmark could have handled 10 murders, but
Yeah.
the I think the two is good. It gives you that, like we were just saying, you're going, and then it gives you an opportunity to veer or all of a sudden question everything where you thought you were going. So it's a
Yeah,
nice little roadblock or detour, so to speak. So
definitely.
I thought it was good. And yeah, I think when you start getting three, you're just sort of laying them in a little too much, especially for this format. If it had a longer, as I was saying, that maybe that 3 episode, you could get away with some more. But yeah, I would say two. Two
Right.
makes it a little more fun, a little more exciting. All right. You ready to get grading?
I am ready.
Steam meter.
I gave it a 3.
Same here. They had
Oh,
some
steam
flirty
for
looks,
me.
some flirty comments, but that was about it.
Pretty much, yeah.
I'd say the one interaction of, oh, my dad's a cop. I'm a cop. My mom's a psychiatrist. I'm a psychiatrist. Like that was I like that. I thought that was kind of cute.
Hmm.
So, but yeah, and then like I say, a little couple things. And the other thing I liked was more the pullback of it was then Jane sort of hinted at it, but she didn't. Normally a lot in Hallmark movies, the best friend is if you just look at a guy or a guy walks in the room, you're like, oh, you're in love, you should go have babies. And it wasn't that at
Oh
all. She
God.
was just like, you know, oh, you guys flirted a little bit. She acknowledged it, but that was it. So fairly low steam
Mm,
meter, and I think that's what you should have in a first. Hopefully, one of many, but in a first one, it's hard to have too much going on.
true.
All right. How about the story? How was the story for you?
Story, I gave it an 8 because I thought it was pretty good. I mean, it wasn't like I w- I feel like I'm really reserving that 10 for like, it just had everything I was looking for, but I thought it was really good. What about you?
You don't always have to be right. That's fine. I gave it a 10. I thought the
Okay.
story was the obviously the strength of it. I thought John wrote a fantastic story. And some of the execution, maybe, which that would fall on the director. But as far as the bones of this, I thought it was great. And once again, I think because I like the British mysteries
Mm-hmm.
and I like Agatha Christie, and it really had that there. It had me hooked.
Okay.
So how about the mystery?
Mystery I also gave an 8.
All right.
So,
I was a little bit better than you there too. I gave it a 9. I may have even gone higher and given it the 10, but since John unwittingly gave sort of me the clue to solve it early and to keep me from being too blown away, which by the way, at the end of And Then There Were None, I literally gasped. So people, you have not seen that, get on Acorn, do a trial membership and watch it. It is so good. Definitely not a Hallmark. It's it's grittier than a Hallmark, but it is so good, so good. Um, like I said, I give it the 9. It could have been a 10 just because it was so different than any other mystery that um I think we've seen. All right, let's get into the acting.
acting, I gave it a 9 because I thought that was pretty decent.
All right. I gave it an 8. I think Jane was an 11. She was by far my favorite character. I think she could go ahead and have her own mystery or her own
I think
show.
that,
She
yeah.
was really, really good. Loved her character. Some people said, "Oh, Elizabeth Henson was, as Amelia was too monotone," but she was monotone when she was a psychiatrist and acting in that role. But we were just talked about how she was giggly finding the dead body, and she was flirty when she was with Trent. So I didn't
Mm-hmm.
think she was monotone at all, other than when she was in crime mode, and that's sort of what her role is.
I guess I
So,
could see why they say that because with a lot of our typical leading ladies, there are moments where they get really overly excited and they're like kind of almost yelling, or they're, oh, I would say overreacting some of the time too. But I'm sure you notice like the inflections are kind of like, ah,
Right.
you know. So that's probably why they were saying that. But it didn't bother me. It was kind of nice not to have that.
Yeah. Like I said, I thought it was very fitting for her character. All right, how about your style?
I gave the style a 7. I thought that was, yeah. You know what? I think I'm just not
That
like
green
super.
dress ruined it for you.
It really did, but I think that I'm just not also like a super islandy person. Like that's not like my favorite, so I'm being a little biased. So that's
Okay.
where I'm at.
Well, I gave it a 10. I found out what they were called from I talked to JC and she informed me the curtain bangs. I'm a sucker for the curtain bangs. I think it's a great look. Plus, it had all the formal wear, whole place, the destination, everything. Everything was just great. And like I said, I didn't have a problem with that green dress. I guess I should have been looking at her chest more. I wasn't.
You
Sorry.
just wouldn't know, Eric. When was the last time you bought a dress?
It's been a while. But yeah, I thought the style, like all that was an actual complete strength of the movie. Did a fantastic job there. All right, what's your score add up to?
35.
I gave it a 40. I think this may be the first time I've ranked a movie higher than you.
It might be.
I think I'm usually either we're right on exactly the same, or it may usually be like a point or two below you. We're usually pretty darn close.
Yeah.
5 point gap may be one of our bigger gaps. And I say I know this one really hit a home run for me. I still think, for the record, Case's Mystery Lane is still my favorite of the year. I think that was great.
Me too.
Love that one. And this is just in a whole different way. I
Yes,
definitely want
it's
more.
very different.
What do you think what about you? Because it sort of ended, and I'm not sure about that direction about the Trent and Amelia helping concoct the mysteries.
I almost thought, what if they take that and they run with it in like, okay, so all of a sudden they're in another destination and they happen upon a mystery. And then at the end of when they solve it, they're like, okay, this is the next one for us to write for Mystery Island.
So Trent and Amelia are now flying around the globe together and
I mean, that would be
stumbling upon things.
ideal because I'm not like an island person, so I'd like to see him in Prague, or I'd like to see him, and even in South Africa, or just somewhere like different.
Well, that sounds like hopefully we get to see, which Dylan Neal, if you remember, teased us with his international mystery.
Yeah,
And if
well,
they
that's
do more
might be in
dancing
Portugal.
detectives, that will be there too. But you're too young. You weren't around for Fantasy Island as a kid.
I
So
think I remember there being
the
reruns.
plane with Mr. Rourke.
Is that little midget man?
Yep.
Okay.
All right. So I'll just leave it on. I don't think this was the mystery for everybody. I think if you're into the British mysteries, or if you like the more complex ones that aren't necessarily that small town cozy, which there's nothing
Mm-hmm.
wrong. I like both of them. I'm
Yeah.
reading all the Hannah Swensons right now, as well. But it just is a different feel. And if you like that, it's got different pacing. Our friend Andrea, she wasn't loving it because a lot of, I think, the pacing and some of the cuts and the way the director handled it, she wasn't fond of. But
Yeah.
she likes the cozy, I think, more. So I think that's it. I think if you like that
Well, it
British, you
could be
like the more
like
complex, it's more your
it
thing.
could it could be like you said, like how things are normally laid out in acts. This
Right.
didn't seem to follow that quite as much. It didn't seem to have the acts down like to a science. It seemed, like you said, like it would need to flow to
Right.
articulate it better.
Yeah.
But commercials, who's gonna pay the bills?
I know. And Peacock, what's with the 72 hours? I don't even get it. Why do they have to go away after 72 hours? Why can't they at least give you a week?
I don't know.
I'm gonna have to
Gosh.
write a sternly worded letter to somebody.
You do that. You do that.
Okay. All right. Well, there we go. Love to hear what you thought. Go ahead and give us a like, a subscribe, leave us a comment on the podcast, wherever you may follow it. We always appreciate reading that. And, if you want to give us some stars and thumbs up and all that good stuff in the ranking, please do.
Yes. And go follow us over at Hallmark Mysteries and More on Instagram for more mysterious content.
Which,
yes.
By the way, so I've added that little find the missing thing. And boy, last week I thought was so easy. And it's like, all right, well, I'll just throw out an easy one.
That was not easy.
And
Eric.
everybody got stumped. Then I showed my wife afterwards, and she then got mad at me saying, where is, I can't find it. Just tell me where it is.
Yeah.
I thought it was so easy. And
oh, be
little
quiet.
did I know.
Because you made it.
Right. Yeah, of course. That's why I said it's just funny because some of the other ones, the one before that with Logan's computer with the little post-it, I thought that
or
one,
the teacup, the cup.
I thought that one was going to be really hard, and people were like, got it. And then this one I thought was going to be easy, and it turned out not to be. But have fun with that. I'm thinking about maybe doing a little more multiple instead of finding just one thing. Maybe do let you find a couple of them. Maybe that may be a little more fun. But
yeah.
All right. Well, Sydney, it was fun talking Mystery Island with you. We do have another mystery coming out later tonight of Hannah Swenson. We'll see what happens with her and Detective Mike. So you can take out your anger, your rage. You can get mad at Hannah for all her behavior.
I heard things are going to get zesty in this one.
Very zesty. It is based on Lemon. I finished reading the book, so I'll be very interested to see how much it follows the book, of which I don't think it can. It is a story, as far as the book goes, that we're talking about Jewel not aging well. It has not aged well.
What about the dessert? Does she make a lemon dessert?
Lemon meringue. So
okay, so
we'll see if she makes a lemon meringue pie in the
she might stick to that.
Movie.
Yeah.
Which I found it interesting that they completely went. I like the title, but that they completely went away from the book title. So we'll be getting to see what's going on with Hannah. I'm Team Hannah. You're Team Mike. So we
no, I'm Team her sister that I never get to see.
We both sisters are here.
Thank goodness.
In the book, both sisters come back, but it's Michelle who comes back, not what's the other, Andrea, right?
Yeah.
So it's not Andrea who comes back, but it's Michelle who comes back from college. So
oh my gosh, I have to say, in the promo when Michelle is like, why haven't you called my sister? And he's like, she told me not to. I was like, oh, this is so like a man.
I will say, that is funny because when we saw that, I was like, I see his point.
She told me not to.
It is a battle of sexes. And when it's funny though, is that with the ending of the last one, you and I flip-flopped, where I was all about girl power and you were all about Hannah, you're being immature.
Because she was being dumb.
All right. Well, on that note, have a good night, Sydney.
You too, Eric. Sweet dreams.